There's a huge energy gap between I am and this is what I want people to think I am. Since 1981, Justin has been producing world-class Bordeaux-style wines from Paso Robles on California's Central Coast. As the pioneer of Paso, Justin wines are what put Paso Robles on the winemaking map. The Justin team believes that wine should be exceptional from every angle, which is why their team uses boutique winemaking practices like hand harvesting and hand sorting. With a rich history of accolades, Justin produces exceptional wines and is proud to be America's #1 luxury Cabernet. Whether you're the first-time wine drinker or a wine aficionado, Justin has a wine for every celebration and occasion. Visit justinwine.com and enter promo code Playbook20 for 20% off your order. Justin offers the perfect holiday gifts for clients, colleagues, friends, or family. Be sure to check them out at justinwine.com to receive 20% off your order for a limited time and use the promo code Playbook20.
Talking about your mission, David, I know one of the things one of your missions is to empower 1 billion people to be happy. That's an audacious goal. And I wanted just to start with asking you why. Why is that your personal mission?
Well, first of all, it's more audacious than you think because it's over a billion people to be happy. And the
Yeah.
reason why is that in my journey, I learned how unhappy people are, how much dis-ease there is in the world. And it came to a forefront when my 12-year-old at the time had one of her best friends commit suicide. And although I can understand life's journey and the struggles that occur in life's journeys, from PTSD to CTE to all types of addictions that can cause us to want to end our human experience, it was beyond me to think about a 12-year-old. And as I did more research, I realized around the world, the fastest growing cause of death was suicide. And so understanding my capability in being able to do three things: to empower people, to number one, live in abundance, to make a lot of money; two, to help a lot of people; and three, to have a positive perspective, a grateful perspective, a forgiving perspective, which allows us to enjoy, meaning have fun, enjoy activities consistently, persistently, without quit, in the pursuit of our own divine direction. And so as I moved forward, I realized that I could change the world. And it wasn't an egotistical, narcissistic vision. It was math to me. It was, I had the power to find 1,000 people like you that I know would empower 1,000 people to empower 1,000 people. And I did the math. I said, wow, if I can find 1,000 people like you times 1,000, that's 1,000,000. And then they find 1,000 people, that's 1,000,000,000. 1,000 times 1,000,000 is 1,000,000,000. I could change the world by creating a collective consciousness, a shift in the paradigm and energy on earth to a positive perspective, a divine direction in which we can all live our human experience in joy, ENJOY. And that became the mission of my life. And so no longer did I pursue commissions. I pursued my mission. And the irony is the commissions continue to follow.
They really do. And I know we're going to talk about that. I just want to get back to the point, you've obviously been moved by, that tragic situation of your child's friend. And lots of us are moved by, maybe even outraged by some of the things that are happening in the world. But what's different about you, David, is that you are operationalizing your good intentions. Like you want to make a difference, but this isn't just a swan song or a mission that you're going to get to one day. I see you doing that already. You've been doing that already. So can you talk to our listeners a little bit about how you've been getting those 1,000 people to then scale their impact to the nth degree?
Well, I've created three buckets. One is free. So to get as much of my lessons out there to inspire and motivate people. Motivation is getting them up, getting them started, getting them back up, getting them back started. But inspiration is getting them there. And so 90% of the activity that I have is to create free lessons, free content, free awareness, to whether it's in person, on the phone, via email, or media, traditional or social, to free inspiration. And then I've also created a private networking group where I curate the room for people that are more within the context of my thousand, people that will show up in person, on the phone, via email, and media wise. And so I have a huge private networking group that has access to me one on one every day to ask me questions, but also it's part of a community of people that want to help each other and know people that will help each other, that buy from each other and sell for each other. Then, like most business people, I have my more intimate, proximate relationships where I have 100 private one-on-one clients that are definitely in my 1,000. And I help and work with them directly. And also, I do business consulting. And I have the one on one clients and the business consulting clients paying for all the free stuff and group stuff that I do. And so I encourage everyone to participate, but I do it every day. So one of the differences and one of the things I teach is circumstances. Too
Mm.
many people allow circumstances, either attaching their emotions to circumstance or reacting to circumstance, to stop them from doing what they want to do. I teach people the relationship in those circumstances so that you have non-negotiable behavior regardless of the circumstance. And then I teach you to prioritize behaviors according to the circumstance, all in your mission and allowing the commissions to follow.
That's perfect, Dave. I think what I hear you saying is you're teaching us to get out of our own way and realize that these
Yes.
things are within our reach. Is that fair?
Yeah, and that's identifying what you're doing to interfere with it. There's a huge energy gap between I am and this is what I want people to think I am. And if we can shift our paradigm to what I'm doing to interfere with my best self, my potential, my essence, my journey, instead of trying to get to my best self, get to my end result, get to my journey, if we can just figure out what we're doing to interfere with it, it now lies within the context of wisdom and faith that there's more than enough of everything for everyone. I'm just interfering with it.
Yes, I love that. Now, I wanted to ask you before we move on from this topic, what your definition is of happy, and how does this make you happy, this personal mission you've got?
I think it's really important to know what your definition of happiness is. And for me, it's the ability to enjoy the consistent everyday, persistent without quit pursuit of my own potential, what I want, not what other people want, not what's missing, not what I don't have, but what I want in my life. And that to me defines happiness that allows me to live in abundance, to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun.
And you do that with such zeal and such energy. I mean, that's one of the things I really feel like you bring to the room is energy always. And that in itself turns into value. So thank you for that, David. Thank you for always bringing that energy and not getting the compassion fatigue, not getting in your own way and making sure you're screaming that to others. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
Now, you mentioned your mantra, so I'm going to repeat it for everyone. Make a lot of money, have a lot of fun, help a lot of people. I was it's, talking about the law of attraction. As I read your book and learned about your mantra, I was also directed to read something called the Diamond Cutter. I don't know if you've heard of the Diamond Sutra from ancient Buddhist wisdom. Yes, you have. And what struck me is as I'm reading your book and then listening to the Diamond Cutter, there's something very similar in the principles that both of you are expounding. This idea of prosperity can be a good thing, number one, that it's important to enjoy the money once you've got it, and that it's important to use those resources to help others. So I wanted to ask you, has ancient wisdom featured in your journey and how has it impacted your mantra?
Oh, impacted greatly. In fact, my own personal icon is the ferocious Buddha derived from the 81 verses of the Tao, the way, enlightening the way. And so I study the Tao every single day. The 81 verses of the Tao that have existed for so long is, for me, the simplest recipe to happiness, to joy, to my mission. And so ancient wisdom, because human nature never changes, is essential to what I teach and what I do. I think one of the advantages that I have is that I didn't start my journey in a spiritual methodology medium or even a dogmatic religious one, even though my mom would have loved me to live by the dogmatic principles of her religion. What makes me interesting is that that I lived a pragmatic life first.
Mhm.
a scarce life, a troubled life. And then I learned about the Tao. Then I learned the way. Because if you start with understanding the way, you'll never learn the lessons of human nature, of scarcity, of all the ego-based reactions to fear. And so I'm in a unique position that not only did I live life in a high level scarcity by running, multi-million dollar companies, world renowned companies, and making over $100 million myself. But I also now have studied under some of the greatest and wisest sages of our times, the Sadhgurus and Deepak Chopras and the Master Shahs and Jack Canfield and Bob Proctor. And it led me, as you can see, to be the chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute. Just the wisdom of Napoleon Hill and Nightingale and Proctor and Wayne Dyer, whose name actually means to light or color the way. It's amazing. So I think that, and I'm blessed. I'm a mama's boy, 57 years old, mama boy, but my mom made me study this history. And the reason she made me study it, whether it was Ben Franklin or Napoleon Hill, because she told me human nature will never change. And the more you study history, the more you'll understand human nature and the more successful you'll be at whatever you want to be.
Well, what a wise one, your mother. She's absolutely right.
She's a Buddha for sure. She's a Judah Buddha, though.
Interesting. Well, lots of wisdom layered
Yeah.
on.
This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Therapy is a great tool for facing your fears and finding ways to overcome them because sometimes the scariest thing is not facing our fears in the first place and holding ourselves back. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/playbook today to get a 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/playbook. Imagine starting a small business, your first customer, first hire, first real paycheck. But everything isn't just exciting, it's scary. That's where JustWorks come in, the all-in-one platform that supports small business growth. Access seamless tools that help with benefits, payroll, HR, and compliance with transparent pricing. It's time to make payroll painless, run payroll in 90 seconds or less, and automate payments so you can set it and forget it. Did you know in 2023 alone, they processed over 25.6 billion in trusted payroll customers? Don't worry about the paperwork piling up either. They take care of payroll tax documents and reporting to help you stay compliant. Visit justworks.com/podcast to join the thousands of small businesses that trust JustWorks to take care of payroll, benefits, compliance, and more. That's justworks.com/podcast.
I want to talk about the role of money in happiness, and you've alluded to your own experience and how that's informed your spirituality and your decision making. How has your attitude to money and wealth evolved in your journey?
Well, once I realized money is an energy, it's evolved immensely. I lived in a world of negotiation, trade, overselling, back end selling, lying, manipulating, and cheating when it came to money because I believed there wasn't enough of it. And I also believe something that sounded positive, but actually impacted me in a scarce way. And it does for a lot of generous and kind people. I grew up and I still believe the more you give, the more you receive.
Mm.
And in relation to money, it's not true because there's a few things that we need to do in the realm of intentionality in order to effectuate with the energy of money. The more we give our money, the more we'll receive. This is why teachers and first responders and United States veterans don't have a lot of money because they don't realize there's an infinite loop of energy that applies to the energy of money, which is the more you give, the more you're given.
Hmm.
You still need to feel worthy and have the action or intentionality of receiving all you're given. And so you need to feel worthy. You can't feel guilty or resentful. Some people, they aren't positive. They don't have gratitude and forgiveness. So they can't receive because they're not aware of what they're given. They see it as punishment and they don't see the options, opportunities, and touches of favor that they're given even to receive it. And then the last illustration of the infinite loop of giving, in which to me changed my relationship with money, was the understanding of faith within the context of that energy of faith. There's more than enough of everything for everyone. Therefore, if there's more than enough of everything for everyone, I should be asking for more so I could give more, be given more, receive more, and then ask for more than more, then give more than more, receive more than more, et cetera, and so on. Why is this important? Because most very kind, generous people, like my mom, when it comes to the relationship of money, they don't believe there's more than enough of it for
Hmm.
everyone. They feel guilty for receiving it because they're so kind and generous, and they end up hurting themselves because anyone out there, especially you kind and generous people that grew up understanding the way better than I understood the way, please listen to me. If you give more than you receive, with money especially, you will end up with zero
Hmm.
eventually. It's just a matter of time. No matter what, if you're always giving more money than you're receiving, you will end up with no money. It's math. It's
Right.
a human experience. And so I want to encourage you not only to seek wisdom when it comes to the energy of money, but have faith there's more than enough of it for everyone. And I truly believe, too, that you could drop all the money in the middle of the desert and it
Right.
would redistribute itself to the same people.
Right. Now that's a masterclass in abundance and wealth. And look, two things I've learned from you on this topic, David, is one, we shouldn't be cheating other people out of the joy of giving to us. I love that piece. Like, I was told off by a friend when I was younger for always doing the cooking and serving and hosting people at my home. And she said, "Hold on, Hemma, one of us would like to give back, and you're depriving me of that joy." So I love that piece. The other piece I think we've got to think about is the unconditional faith that you need to have when you give money. But you, I think, taught me also that it's not just about giving and giving and giving. You want to help people along their journey. Like back to Benjamin Franklin, this idea of making sure that you're helping people on their way. Involve me and I will learn, right? Involve me and that's how I will learn. Don't just give me the fish. Don't just even tell me how to fish. Let's create sushi together and I will show you the way. So I'd love you to talk a little bit about that because those things have really impacted me.
Well, I think that's true. I have the whole room raise their hand when I said, "Who here likes to give?" And then I ask everyone, then, why are you cheating everyone else? Why are you so stingy about the easiest way to make someone feel good?
Yes.
Everybody feels good when they're give, as long as they're capable of giving. Sometimes we don't feel good if we're not capable of giving. But when you're capable, like, can I help you with the dishes? Or why don't you allow me to pay for dinner? Or, whatever it may be. So within the context of our own capability, when we allow people to give what they're capable of giving, we are giving them more than we are receiving. And if you don't believe that, then ask yourself, how good do I feel when I give what I'm capable of giving? Whether it's your knowledge or money or other gifts or items, how good does it feel? And we deny the greatest gift of giving things that we're capable of giving. And I use that distinction
Right.
because it doesn't feel good when we have to give things we're not capable of giving. And I don't think that it's actually a gift to, ask for things when people aren't capable of it or receive things when they're not capable of it, because now they're not going to be able
Sure.
to give more. And so there's a slight nuance. Now, one of the great things that you mentioned, Ben Franklin, another aspect is the Ben Franklin effect that I wrote in my book, Connected to Goodness, which, by the way, for your community, if anybody would like Connected to Goodness, I will sign it, send it to you, pay for shipping, pay for the book. Just email me directly, david@dmeltzer.com, david@dmeltzer.com. If you forget that, just Google David Meltzer, you'll find my email. But Ben Franklin said, and I call it the reverse Ben Franklin effect, the best thing you can do is ask for help because you become an investment in that person and you make them feel good that you feel they have capabilities that you don't have. And so please, everyone out there, get to a point where you say, would it help you if, but also, do you know anyone that can help me? My two favorite transition statements in my personal and professional life is to be more interested than interesting, to find out through the methodology of being more interested. Hey, would it help you if I gave you this because I'm capable of it, or helped you with this because I'm capable of it? And do you know anyone that can help me with these capabilities? And when I ask you if you know anyone that's capable of helping me,
Mhm.
you're included. So it's a really nice way to ask someone to help you or know someone that can help you, and also qualifies them and curates them like into my private networking group to be people that want to help each other and know people that can help each other.
David, I love that. You don't just tell us to get out of our own way, but you show us how, which is just the magic, is you're giving us actual tools. And of course, I have my copy of Connected to Goodness. I encourage your readers to get it. It's a very good book. There's another book that you're an author of that I want to just pivot before we end today, which is called Compassionate Capitalism. And so if I may, I'm going to ask you this question. How can we help corporate executives who have the resources, the big brands, the power to operationalize their best intentions in the way that you have and drive ethical decision making, do the right thing? What's your advice when people have got the resources, and how do we help them to maybe get out of their own way to make sure that they're driving ethical decision making?
Well, too many people, number one, don't focus on their credibility in articulating the quantitative value.
Mhm.
Two, they focus too much on the emotional impact, and that becomes subjective in its nature, even though value is only derived by giving people more of what they like or taking away what they don't like. Only two ways that value is derived. That means giving them more of what works and taking away what doesn't work. And so, under the auspice of credibility and emotional attachment, the best way that we can get more large organizations, not just corporations, governments,
Mhm.
charities, more large organizations that have bigger impact and amplification of messaging and awareness. The only way is for us to take accountability and practice articulating a quantitative value to
Mhm.
exceed what we're asking for. So you have to, once again, be more interested than interesting, and you have to practice articulating a quantitative value. Why? Especially corporations. They need to make money. So if you can explain to them, articulate to them, by doing well, by doing good, you can do well. By putting this sustainable energy in, or this practice in, or utilizing some sort of diversity. I'm not a big equity guy. I believe everybody's different. I am a diversity and appreciation. I would like to re-engineer DEI to DAI, diversity, appreciation, and inclusion,
Ah,
which
love it.
says this: you, Hemma, and I, David Meltzer, we are not the same.
Mhm.
We are not equal, but what we are grateful for each other to
Yeah.
learn the differences and appreciate the differences, utilizing appreciation and forgiveness to say, look, of course we're different, but I so much appreciate your opinion. I appreciate your advice. I appreciate you. I may not even agree with it all the time, but I just appreciate it. I love that perspective, and I'm going to give it some consideration. I may or may not change my mind, but I certainly appreciate the fact that you're taller, shorter than I am. You look different than I am. I appreciate that. Give me your opinion. Let me think about that and get better from what I think about it. And you do the same with me. Now we're diverse, we're included, but instead of being equal, which we never will be, you and I will never be equal. There's no human beings. See, we all prove that because nobody has the same fingerprint. We're all different,
Right.
but we can appreciate that difference and include everybody and appreciate and consider who they are and how they can align with the divine direction that I'm in and you're in and we're in.
I can't agree more. I mean, being seen, heard, and valued is critical. And so glad that you could share that with us. You heard it here first, DAI. Now, David, you know that this podcast is called Unless, because of the doctor's use quote from the Lorax, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. And I can't think of anyone that epitomizes that quote more than you. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't know if you've got any parting words for our listeners, but I'm just so grateful to you for taking the time to share your wisdom with us.
I do. And if everybody could reach out to me and be a part of my community, we would love to have you. David at dmeltzer.com. And I'm going to leave you with this a simple piece of advice to help us all on the mission, including the commissions. Be kind to your future self, and do good deeds. God bless you.
Love that, David. God bless. Thank you so much.